Alright y'all, what's up? We are here for day 6. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. I mean, there's so much that I was hoping for to happen. This is probably the best the past 2 days with the 400 for the 400 hurdles for the men, and then the 400 women's hurdles, as well as just this 200 meter final for the men that just happened. We're going to talk about it all, but we got some good stuff to cover. So what we're gonna do first, let me pull this up. All right, so we start off with the main event last night. The main event, probably the most talked about race heading into these Olympics. It's been the most talked about, most anticipated race in Tokyo since Worlds at Doha in 2019. And you know what I'm talking about, Sydney McLaughlin versus Dalilah Muhammad for that Olympic gold medal. And just coming into this race, the two of them do what they did in those first 2 rounds. They just easily just cruise home, still putting up pretty killer times that most of the other athletes are literally working their entire damnness to get those times, and they're basically just jogging them through. So we all knew that once we got here to this final, we were gonna see something special. And just to talk about a couple of the finalists that are in this race with these 2 stars as well, we've got Anna Cockrell. Anna Cockrell is from the United States, and she made her first final at her first Olympics. So that alone is just enough to, because I mean, when you saw when they were doing the introduction, she was just beaming. You can tell she was just excited to just be in that final. She did everything she really wanted to do. Truthfully, I mean, of course she wanted to medal, but get into that final is a big accomplishment. You can say you're one of the top 8 in the world. And then we've got Genevieve Russell from Jamaica, a standout in her 2 rounds, as well as Femke. The commentators have put it out there like she was going to be a threat for one of these 2 to not receive silver, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not taking any credit away from her. She is a very, very talented runner. She is the 3rd best in the world behind these 2, but she was not going to take that spot away from either one of them. And then we've got Dalilah and we've got Sydney. So the race itself, Dalilah, she came out as she always does, taking the race out extremely, extremely hard and extremely powerful. Sydney was running her race. Femke, she was right there in between them at one point, just coming down the backstretch. She cleared her hurdle before Sydney did, just by like just a millisecond. But Sydney was just doing as Sydney is supposed to do, how she has been doing this entire season when it comes to her 400 hurdles, as well as just her hurdling period. She was just following her stride pattern, just running her race, doing what she needed to do, not thinking about what's going on outside of her, which coming through the second turn, Dalilah was making a large margin between the 3 of them. And coming around the turn, Sydney and Femke were right there together. And that's when Sydney decides to always turn it on. It's coming through that last turn, coming down the final straight, where she just kicks it into high gear. And that's when she starts to show out and show that she is the fastest in the 400 flat. So coming home, she did what she needed to do coming around that last hurdle. And it was a foot race to the end between her and Dalilah. And of course, Sydney came out with the win. And Sydney broke her world record. And that's now 2 for Sydney to 2 to Dalilah's. And Dalilah, she broke Sydney's record that she set last month at trials, 51.90. Dalilah, she went up 51.58, setting her own personal best. Femke, she went ahead and set 52.03. That's a killer. I believe she beat the record for the Olympic record. So all 3, top 3 have basically topped what the Olympic record was. So if she was in any other race, without these 2, she would have won. And then Sydney, 51.46. I said she's gonna run sub 51. It didn't happen yet, but they're getting closer and closer to it. 51.46. Like, are you serious? And it's just so funny to watch it too, because she was so, I don't want to say unbothered, but you could tell Sydney was just, she still was trying to process it in the moment. But like they say, the 2 of them, it's iron sharpening iron. This rivalry that they have, that the media wants to make it seem as such. It's amazing to see 2 black women just continue to make each other better. And that's just really what this is between the 2 of them. It's just two of them just continuing to push each other, because the last 4 meetings that they've had, world records have fallen. And I can't wait to see where the rest of the season's going to go for them. And the rest of just the next 3 years, because I don't see Dalilah retiring, not before Paris. Possibly post Paris, but I doubt it. She's still in great condition, even though she is 31 years old, but she's in great condition. Like, I don't see her retiring anytime soon. And then Sydney, this is just the start of her legendary career. Like, her first gold medal, her first Olympic medal. She's about to take track and field by storm. She's gonna be, I believe, when it comes to her doing what Allyson's now currently doing, which is when she's having her last race and her last run around the track, Sydney's probably gonna be the most decorated female track and field Olympian in history. So, and not even just Olympian, just most decorated female track and field athlete. But yeah, that race was just as good as the men's 400 hurdles. So amazing finish. I look to see both of them. I know Sydney for sure is going to be on that 4x4. I really hope Dalilah's on there. I feel like she will be, considering the times they ran. Like, you have to put her on there, I think. I think she's going to be on there as well. So it's really going to determine. I don't know, because do you think they're going to put 2 hurdle runners on the 4x4? I feel like they did it at Worlds, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's going to be a battle between Allyson and Quanera for the last spot. But enough about the 400 hurdles. We are now going to move on to the women's 400 semifinal, which happened this morning. So in the first heat, we've got Quanera Hayes, and in this particular heat, she came out really strong. And as she was running so hard coming down the backstretch, the first 200, maybe the first 250, she was storming down, and I was thinking, is she doing the same thing she did round 1 at trials? Because you remember that she came out super hard and kind of gassed out towards the end. And coming around the turn, the final turn, she started to go backwards, and she finished 4th with a time 49.81, which later was enough to qualify her onto the final. But I feel like Quanera's she's got to figure out that perfect strategy coming into the final. I understand she got to push it hard because these girls are no joke, but just dial it back, run your race, and I feel like she'll be straight going into the final. In heat number 2, we've got Wadeline Jonathas in this heat with Shaunae Uibo, as well as Jody Williams from Great Britain. Wadeline, she was doing pretty good. She was running second the majority of the race, truthfully. But Shaunae Uibo, she had this race locked up. And Wadeline, unfortunately, finished 50-51 with a placing of 4th. So she will not be moving on to the final. So this will be very interesting to see. Shaunae Uibo, she put up a time 49.60. So she will be taking that into the final. And we now move on to heat number 3, which features the GOATs, the female GOATs, Allyson, Felix. And yeah, she ran a season's best. Allyson keeps topping herself. She ran, what did she run? I think she ran 50.8 in her first round, which she hadn't done all season. She ran 50.0. But that was the second best showing that she's had, and she was running that just on cruise control. And this one itself too, she took the race very strongly out, coming down the backstretch as she always does. That is her strong point. But coming around the turn, she was just in her race. She was just running her race, just a seasoned veteran. And coming home, she kind of let off the gas as well, which makes this season's best even that much more impressive and that much more exciting going into the final, because she pulled up coming home, and she was not trying to completely finish strong. And that's what Stephanie and McPherson did. McPherson, she came home on gas. Like, she was really pushing that shit home. And I don't know if that was smart for her. She put up a PB for her, 49.34. But did she not save her legs? That's the real question, and we're going to see that at the final. But I feel like Allyson has a really strong chance at medaling, and I want her to get a gold medal. And if she times her race right, she very well possibly could. I'm not ruling her out. Some people are, but I'm not ruling her out. You cannot rule Allyson Felix out of any race. You cannot. You cannot. The way she has that fight in her and the way she fights to the end, you'd be dumb to count her out. And I feel like she could shock the world and cap off her legendary career with a medal that is gold. And now we're going to talk about the main event, the 200 meters for the men, the final. This one I've been excited about. Andre Grasse, after his showing at the semifinal, he came into this as the favorite. I've been wanting him to win this complete event since I knew he was still running it. And yeah, just coming into this, he was one of the favorites for me. Knighton, I've definitely been looking at him, wanting him to do well as Bednarek. Kenny was in the heat with Andre, and they were right here. And both of them were looking at each other, trying to see where each other was at, trying to pull off the gas as well. But yeah, just let's talk about this race itself. The combination of Kenny, Andre, as well as Noah, and even Erriyon coming around the turn, they all was right there together. So at that point, it looked like it was anybody's race. And Andre Grasse hits top speed and holds top speed the entire time, which takes himself home. And then it's crazy too, because towards the end, I feel like he still had a lot more left to give. And that's crazy too, because he put up his PB, 1962. Andre finally got his gold. He's got a silver medal. He's got 2 bronze. And he got what he needed. He got what he needed. Andre did what he got to do. Did I say he has 2 bronze? He actually has 3 bronze. But yeah, he finally got his gold medal. It's just super exciting for him as well, considering last time he was in this race, he was up against Usain Bolt. But he got his win. He got his win, and I'm super excited about that. Kenny put up a PB of 1968. He got second. And Noah Lyles finished 1974 with the season's best as well. Knighton just off the medals, 4th with 1993. Pretty fast race, pretty solid final. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited about that. Andre, I'm excited about him winning. Sydney winning. Like, so far my medal count for gold has been pretty solid. I've called Jasmine, Camacho Quinn winning the 100 hurdles. Elaine Thompson, I knew she was going to win 100 and 200. Who else? I think Mo, knew she was going to win the 800. Sydney, knew she was going to win. Andre, knew he was going to win. Just sucks. In terms of the 100, I thought for sure Trayvon Bromell would be there, and I thought he would be definitely winning gold, but things happen. Crazier things have happened, but towards the end of this Olympics for track and field, the results have been pretty damn great, if you ask me. But yeah, we've got the 400-meter final for the men and the women coming up, as well as we got the 110-meter hurdle final for the men. I'm really rooting for my boy Grant. We share the same name. It's just natural for me to root for you, but he's looking like a clear favorite coming in, especially after his semifinal. Did we talk about the semifinal? I don't think we did. Now that I think about that, we did not talk about that semifinal because they ran yesterday. I didn't even think that. Let's get back to that. We're just going to talk about him, and we're going to talk about Devon Allen. Devon Allen, he won his heat, 13-18. He was pretty neck and neck with Manga of France coming home, but whatever. Grant Halloway, yeah, he after the second hurdle, he was clearly a hurdle ahead of everybody else. The Jamaican came up after maybe the second to the last hurdle to try and challenge him, but Grant pulled away with that with 13-13, qualifying over to the final as well. But yeah, I'm excited for Grant Halloway going into the final, and as well as Allyson for the 400, as well as Michael Norman and Michael Cherry for the 400 for the men. I would love to see Michael Norman win gold. Michael Cherry, I would love to see him win gold. Just give me 2 of them on the podium, 1, 2, or just give them a medal. So I'll be happy with that. But like I said, as usual, if you are new here and you see something that you like, go ahead and check everything else out. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe, share the video, let me know what you think. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow after all of this mess has gone down. And then we've got the relays. That's really my favorite. Besides the individual events, those are my favorites because I just like to see the team. But yeah, that's what we've got ahead of us. And then we're gonna wrap up this Olympics for track and field. And then we've got the season ahead of us. And then the next big event is Worlds. So I'll be here for that. I'll be here for the rest of everything else track and field. You'll be seeing some videos sporadically. But if you do like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all later.